Hello and welcome everybody to the third episode of the Founders Forum. Today's episode will be about my thoughts on the Trump administration. So to kick things off, obviously you guys know I am, a part of MAGA, um, you know, right wing and stuff like that. But I do have, thoughts on them. What I'll tell you what I expected, what I didn't expect, and stuff like that. So I guess we can start off by just my overall thought on them. From what I thought from 2024 before the election, um to be honest, I wasn't sure if Trump was going to win or not, because it was hard to see so many people vote for a convicted felon. Not that I have a problem for it, because listen, if it's the right person for the job, then vote for them. Because I'm not old enough to vote yet, but if I know if I was, I would have voted for Trump, and I would have done so in 2016, 2020, 2024, and hypothetically, if he did run again in 2028, which I know he can't, but if he did, I would vote for him again. I would also vote for J.D. Vance, but, a separate story, I guess. Um, but yeah, it was just hard to see him win, I guess, with all the legal problems. Um, but, looks like those were all taken care of. But I guess the reason why I could see him win was because people knew him more. He was an experienced candidate. Um, we had, he had basically 4 years to, set up his second term for, or his actually, no, his third campaign, or fourth if you're going to count his run in 2000. But, yeah, so he had 4 years to kind of prep and set things up, and Kamala Harris only had like a couple months or whatever. But either way, I don't think it's because of that. I think she lost because she simply, there wasn't much different about her campaign from Biden's. And obviously, Biden's presidency, no one was happy with that. So people thought they were going to get the same thing, and they most likely would have. Trump actually, he kind of reached out to more of the voters in a way and focused on topics that people actually cared about. Less about the LGBTQ, stuff like that. He focused on the economy and inflation, and gas prices, stuff like that actually the people care about, and illegal immigration too, which has been a major part of his second term. ICE obviously got a $170 billion funding deal or whatever from the government to expand their reach, and because you kind of would think that's only at the border, but now it's all over the country, which is a good thing, obviously, because these illegal immigrants simply do not belong here. They're you're literally not following the law, so now ICE is gonna take care of that. So it was nice to see that. I think it's been. I think it's. I don't know. The Trump administration said that there would be about 1 million deportations per year, and so that's about 4 million. If you actually went through that, that's 4 million. About that 4 million out of the 10 million that came in the 4 years. So about 40% he would take care of, but so far it's only been about like 36,000 or something like that. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe even the 100,000s. But yeah. So people love to say that ICE is taking it too far. That they're deporting American citizens, which simply isn't true. Because first of all, if you can't prove that you're an American citizen with papers or some sort of proof that you belong here, then you will be deported or put in a detention center until you can prove that you are an American citizen. So, yeah. But people also love to say that, he hasn't been keeping up with his promises with illegal immigration. I don't know how, but because, the border there literally hasn't been any, border crossings from illegal immigrants. And, he's sending the National Guard to DC, to Los Angeles, Chicago, Memphis. He's cleaning up the streets. So I think he definitely delivered on the illegal immigration problem. But yeah, and by the way, Trump has signed, I think up to date, 202 executive orders since January 20th. So definitely a lot of progress with that. He also developed the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, which, by the way, we all thought that Elon Musk was going to be such a big part of the Trump administration, but only a couple of months in, and he's already out because Trump and him are having problems, of course. But another thing I realized with this administration is it's also, as much as I am on their side, and they are making plenty of progress, but it's also a lot of just putting on mask kind of things, just putting on a show in a way, with like the renaming of the like just a lot of renaming stuff, like it's not the Gulf of Mexico anymore, now it's the Gulf of America, which I do like, but again, what was the point of that? I do agree that it is kind of our Gulf, and even if we are sharing it, which we are, if it's going to be anybody's Gulf, it's going to be ours. So, and then there's like, by the way, there is I don't agree with him tearing up the Rose Garden or anything, because that was a very historic piece. With the whole ballroom situation, yeah, it is helpful to have a ballroom. But I took a trip to the White House to meet with someone, like in August, and one of the people said that they might be tearing down some of the East Wing to fit the ballroom. So that's a lot of historical rooms that would just simply be torn away. But yeah, just it seems just like a lot of renaming things and changing things to make it look good, but but yeah, it's but they this whole Elon Musk thing and with the falling out and stuff like that, and I guess Elon Musk really didn't do much for us in the first place, so I guess he did set up Doge or whatever, but I think we can live without him. In the White House, of course, and another thing with this whole the Epstein files thing, I don't know why, but when the news came out about how we found out that Trump was in the Epstein files, I was kind of confused on that because I thought we already knew that. I don't know why there was such a big surprise there. The guy, they were literally best friends, so of course he's gonna show up there somewhere. Trump was on flight logs and they went to each other's parties. Obviously, he's going to be in the files, It's just, what role did he play? And yeah, we know honesty hasn't really played a big part in this administration, but, you're going to find that at every administration. None of them would be honest. They're all going to, like, pack the bad stuff away and put the new stuff up, right? The good stuff. But, yeah, and they're talking about how Trump's trying to get his name removed from every place that it appears in the files. And, that was a really major big part of his 2024 campaign, promising the people to release the files, which he failed to, unfortunately. But, and you look at, the question is why? Why hasn't he released it? Because he's in it? Or, something else? But, it really just is that, it's just simply is that, Jeffrey Epstein was a powerful guy. He had a dirt on a lot of powerful and famous people. And whether he was killed by someone in jail or whatever, it really doesn't matter because it wasn't going to change anything anyway, right? A lot of these famous and powerful people don't want certain things coming up on light, coming up to light. Jeffrey Epstein simply had too much dirt on them, so he was silenced. So that's that, really. With the whole war thing, yeah, Trump has, done some good things with the wars. He's stopped Thailand and Cambodia from their little border dispute. Um, we're trying to settle tensions in the Russia-Ukraine war, but clearly that's gotten nowhere because it seems like that when Zelensky wants to end it, Putin doesn't, and when Putin tries to end it, Zelensky doesn't. So it's just kind of hard to get everybody on the same page and stuff like that. But you figure that when Putin came to Alaska, which was very rare, I think the last time that happened, not in Alaska, but when Putin came to the U.S. was in 2018. But nothing came out of that, which is kind of surprising. So, there's talks of Trump and Xi meeting or whatever, which I think is, in a way, more, like, important than meeting with Putin because, China's our main competitor, so kind of need to take care of that. And speaking of competition, the U.S. has finally entered its second race to space. Now, not only are we racing to the moon, but we're racing to build nuclear reactors on the moon. Because, it's Russia, China, and North Korea aligning, going against us. Because whoever gets there first can put up some sort of zone to keep the other country out, which obviously the U.S. does not like. But yeah, so NASA's gonna be putting to work for that and stuff like that. And so yeah, the Israel and Palestine war, or Hamas, or whatever you want to call it. Honestly, I don't know. I think Israel has its hands in a lot of countries' pockets in a way. Israel, obviously there's all these conspiracies or whatever that it's all for a reason. Israel's trying to go to war with these countries, so that way we get involved, we take them out, and then, boom, Israel has what it's always wanted, right? To get the regimes from Iran out and from Syria out. So, they want to take care of that. For whatever reason it is for that, I guess, then that's just the way it is. What are we going to do about it? I don't think that we should be involved in all these foreign wars because they're called forever wars for a reason. They're just never going to end. It's been 4 years now of the Russia-Ukraine war, and it's gotten nowhere because Russia wants Ukraine too bad, and Ukraine doesn't want to lose for some reason. Obviously, I really did see this war ending way before, 4 years, at max 2 years, but I don't know. Climate and, oh yeah, so Trump withdrew from the Paris Agreement in the beginning of his second term, so, that's actually the second time he's done it. He had to do it in his first term, then Biden brought it back, and now he had to withdraw again. We have a lot of artificial intelligence investments, especially from Saudi Arabia. It was an estimated $4 trillion worth, and Trump, as we speak right now, is in the UK trying to work out a deal with the UK for a $10 billion deal on, I think it's artificial intelligence, but I could be wrong. But yeah, and Trump, in terms of economic, tax, and trade policy, set the big beautiful bill into law or whatever, and that took care of a lot of things, and that's actually the reason why Elon Musk, kind of had that fallout with Trump, because something with electric cars and it was a whole thing back then in April, I think it was, but yeah, you could look back into that. People, obviously, he's taking extreme ethics with this, extreme measures to clean up the streets or get our fair share of the deal in terms of trade with other nations. So people don't like the way he's doing it, but I guess you could say that he's doing a good job. Um, you could say it's different from his first term because you can definitely see a lot more action. It seems like every week or multiple times a week that something big is happening. So, towers haven't exactly worked out in our favor. It's a lot more expensive now. Um, yeah, you take a look at other things on this list. Yeah, let's see a lot of the same stuff. See, my personal opinion, I'm wouldn't say I'm disappointed in Trump. Obviously, there were a lot of things that were promised, like the Russia-Ukraine war, um, the Epstein files, which I have to say I would really like for them to come out, as much as everybody else, of course. Trump said he ended 7 wars. If you want to, make a list of that or whatever. But yeah. So there's obviously a lot of things he promised and didn't really go along with. Didn't deliver. But for the most part, I am happy with the Trump administration's second term. And even if Trump wasn't doing so good or whatever, I would still have to say that by far he would do a lot better than Kamala Harris, because I just know that I just knew that if Kamala Harris was elected, right, all these countries or our foreign countries would have been waiting to make a move, like China on Taiwan or Russia to Ukraine, Israel to Yemen, because they're getting bombed every day. Um, yeah, you see a lot of stuff. So anyway, that's really it for this episode. That's episode 3 of the Founders Forum with Benjamin E. Verikokkos. You can tune in, I think, later tonight, because I'll upload another one on certain topics. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning into this one, and yeah, see you in the next one.